What if I told you the thing that most founders brag about is often the exact thing keeping them off retail shelves? Groundbreaking, disruptive, never been done. Sounds exciting, right? But to some grocery buyers sitting behind a desk reviewing hundreds of products every month, those words can sound risky, unpredictable, and expensive. Because buyers are not shopping for excitement, they are shopping for certainty. They're asking themselves these questions: will this product actually sell? Will it stay in stock? Will the packaging arrive on time? And will customers understand it immediately? And most importantly, will this make my category grow without creating problems for my stores? And that's the big disconnect. Most CPG founders think innovation gets product into retail, but in reality, predictability is what gets products reordered. So today, I'm going to break down exactly what some grocery buyers care about, and that's predictability over innovation, and how understanding this can completely change your retail strategy and dramatically increase your chances of getting on shelf. Come on, let's get into it. Step one, buyers are not venture capitalists. They're just not. A lot of founders walk into buyer meetings like they're pitching the Shark Tank. They focus entirely on how new the product is. But grocery buyers, they're not interested in ideas. They are managing risk. That's what I've learned going into those meetings. And that's an important distinction. A buyer's job is not to find the coolest product. Their job is to protect shelf productivity. Every inch of shelf space has to justify itself financially. If a new product fails, it creates massive problems. Dead inventory, wasted resets, poor sales data, operational headaches, angry store managers, and of course, lost revenue. Buyers naturally lean towards products that feel stable and predictable. That's just how things are. And here's the irony. The brands that usually win are not necessarily the most innovative. They're really not. They are the brands that make the buyer feel confident. And that's what you have to do. You have to make the buyer feel confident about bringing in your new product. Because if you have a new product, you want to show them that there is a demand, that there are customers that want it, and there are people out there expecting for it to be in stores. That's why a lot of times buyers want you to have traction online on TikTok, Instagram, before they bring you into the store. Or if they do bring you into the store, you ever notice they want to bring you online on the retail first? When I say online on the retail, what I mean is, you ever notice they want to bring you to their online platform first, in the sense where they want to bring you to Target online, Walmart online, and the online is different from being in the store. They try you out being on the online platform before you actually get into the brick and mortar store to see if your demand actually holds up. And then when you justify that there, or even on Amazon, then they're ready to bring you into the store. Because a lot of times these buyers, they got to make sure the demand is there with your new and innovative product. Unfortunately, that's how things are. Step two, predictability is about operational trust. You have to remember that. When buyers think predictability, they are evaluating several things at once when it comes to your CPG brand. They're evaluating predictable sales, and also, can consumers quickly understand your product? I mean, you have to really think about it. If shoppers need a 5-minute explanation to understand what your product is or what your product does, that creates a lot of friction between them and purchasing it. And that is why buyers love products that consumers instantly get. And I mean, like, hey, oh, I get it. It's a soda with probiotic. It's a soda with protein. That's why many successful launches are actually familiar products with just a slight improvement. Like I said before, they added protein to the soda. They added probiotic to the, they're not radical reinventions that people just don't get. And number two, predictable supply chain. Can you consistently deliver inventory? Because when you have a new product, sometimes it may be difficult. A buyer would rather work with a less exciting brand that ships on time every time than a new flashy brand constantly dealing with out of stocks or due to the product not being in inventory or not being ready. Because retailers hate empty shelves. They do. They just hate it. Also, number 3, predictable margins. Can the retailer reliably make money with your new and an innovative product? Because if your pricing constantly changes, your freight costs fluctuate widely, or your margins are too thin. Buyers get nervous. They get real nervous with your product. And that makes a difference because stability matters. Number 4, predictable consumer behavior, or really predictable customer behavior. Can the buyer reasonably forecast demand when it comes to your new and innovative product? Because retail is built on forecasting. The easier it is for a buyer to predict customer purchasing, well, it helps, especially when it comes to forecasting their patterns, and it makes them feel a lot safer when it comes to putting your product in the stores. Step 3, extreme innovation creates consumer friction. And why does this create friction? Because this is something most founders never think about. They just be like, hey, this is new, everybody will like it. But the more innovative your product is, the more education it requires. You have to remember that. If you have something that no one's known about, you got to spend a lot of time educating them. And education is expensive. If shoppers don't instantly understand the following: what the product is, why they need it, where it belongs, or how it compares to the alternatives, well, your sales velocity will slow down or it'll never start. And buyers watch velocity closely because that's the deciding factor if you're in or you're out. Because a confusing product can actually create a worse shelf space for the retailer. It'll make a person be like, I don't know what's going over here. And this is why many successful CPG products follow a simple formula. And this is the formula of a familiar format plus meaningful improvement. Familiar, they understand. And then they added meaningful improvement, meaning they just have a drink or a soda and then they just add an extra into it. Probiotic, protein, this. But everybody knows it's familiar. That whole aisle is familiar by being all soda. It's just different variations of soda. That's what's familiar, and that's the improvement by adding a little extra change to the soda. Step 4, speak the language of retail risk reduction. You got to speak that language of retail. Founders often pitch innovation emotionally. Like, this is it. This is going to change the game. But buyers evaluate products operationally. They look at it and be like, how can I scale it? What's going to help me? The margin's going to be good. And that means your messaging needs to change. Instead of saying, we're disrupting the beverage industry, we're the change that everybody needs, you should try saying this: we've created a product with strong repeat purchase behavior in a growing category. You see the difference? One sounds exciting and the other sounds like something you'd make an investment in, just point blank. Step 5, relatability can beat bigger competitors. Yes, if you're relatable, you can beat those big competitors. Here's the good news. You don't need to be the biggest brand to win retail. You really don't. We've seen by Olipop, we've seen by Poppy, because sometimes smaller brands actually have an advantage because they can operate more closely and carefully than the big brands to what the consumer or customer really wants. If you could become known as a responsive, reliable, organized, easy to work with, and operationally disciplined CPG brand, then a retailer and a buyer will always remember that and they will love you for that. Being a small brand can actually be good in certain times. Step 6, The best CPG brands balance novelty with familiarity. Novelty with familiarity. Innovation absolutely matters, but the smartest brands innovate inside a structure customers already understand. I mean, they understand what you're putting out. You want your product to feel like the following: new enough to excite, but familiar enough to trust. That balance is where retail success happens. You got to have those two. So, let's remember, grocery buyers are not primarily buying innovation. They are buying predictability. Yes, they are buying what's predictable and they know what's going to sell. They want confidence that your product will sell. I had to say it twice. And that your operations are stable. Consumers will understand the item when they see it. And inventory will arrive on time. And the retailer will make money constantly if they do these things. Because innovation matters, but only when it's packaged inside operational reliability. You have to remember that. When it's packaged inside that, you're good to go. Lastly, your brand deserves more than just a dream. It deserves a strategy. And that is why you need to subscribe. Because on CPG 101 with Eric, we discuss all the tips and strategies you need to take your CPG brand to the next level. And I want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Until the next time, it's been me, Eric, with CPG 101.